For years, learning to ride a motorcycle was something I felt like I would do someday. Well, that someday turned into being in college. And at the time, there was a new sport bike out. It was a 1993 CBR 600 F2. If you're into motorcycles, you'll know what that is. If not, there's an Air Force jet flying over. Anyways, if not, no worries. Just think of it as a really top tier sport bike. And I saw this going around our college campus. And at the time, I would have been in my early 20s thinking, man, I really, most people learn when they're in teens. Sometimes they learn on dirt bikes and things. I remember in our high school, there was somebody that one person had a sport bike, a Ninja, and it was just the coolest thing. But in college, it just felt like I was too old. Put it off too long. It's never going to happen. I've never ridden one. I don't know how to ride one. And then around that same time, I started reading Tony Robbins' book, Personal Power, and realized that someday will never happen until we make a plan. And I have it somewhere, but in a 3-ring binder, I have my notes from Personal Power, and it was to learn and purchase this motorcycle. Now go from not knowing how to ride a motorcycle to going to this was pretty extreme, but I had my notes, and like the first note must have been learn how to ride a motorcycle, right? And then I seen that there is a motorcycle course that you can take, a beginner's and an advanced course. So I said, okay, well, take the beginner's course. If I'm going to take this course, then, well, I'm going to need to buy a helmet and all those little steps. Get my license, endorsement, and all that stuff. And just laid it out. And one by one, started checking off the boxes. Went to the beginner's course. And then after, 5,000 miles. So this is after I'd purchased the motorcycle, ridden it for, I think, 5,000 miles. You can take an advanced course. Now, in the advanced course, I remember being, I'm this early 20s, and everybody in there, they might have been 40s or 50s, and they all had Harleys. And I'll never forget, the instructor said, hey, where did you learn how to ride? And I said, well, I took the beginner's course, and and he says, man, he said, I haven't had to show you much. You're doing everything right. He said, these guys that have been riding for 20, 30 years, I don't even know how they're still alive, because they'd never learned all the different right things to do, kind of thing. But here it was. I'm driving that thing around campus. I every second I had, I was on that Purdue. I knew every pothole, every street on that Purdue campus. There'd be 10 minutes between a class, and there was a special section to easily get parking. And I'd be on that bike and just make a lap around campus. I just absolutely loved riding that bike. It was incredible. So it turned out that it wasn't too late to learn. And I felt like I wanted to learn the right way and do things right. Years later, and I'll share this video in a future video, a couple friends and I took a 10-day motorcycle trip up Pacific Coast Highway, went through Area 51, spent the night at Area 51. Some crazy stuff happened out there. I'll share that too. But none of this stuff would have ever happened. I could have never imagined growing up in Indiana and eventually learning to ride this motorcycle, being out on the West Coast, riding Pacific Coast Highway, seeing all the amazing things that we did. And in that video, I'll really share with you how we planned that out and how that really reflects on planning out our lives as well. That'll be an interesting one to reminisce on that and share some of those stories with you. So here's another example of something that seemed impossible, seemed like life had passed me by, it was too late. I think I even had people tell me that, like, yeah, like, you're gonna go get that bike, you don't even know how to ride that. You don't even know how to ride a motorcycle, and you're gonna go buy that thing brand new. That's another story too, buying that thing cash and blowing my entire life savings on that. That's another video on that too. But the idea here was to get you to think about, what is it, something that you feel like time has passed you by, you're too old, it's too late to learn, it's too complex to learn. And someday, someday you'll get around to doing that. So what is that someday for you? That what you need to do is start mapping out the steps, keep it very simple, put them in order. What does he need to do? In my case, it was learn to ride a motorcycle, schedule that beginner's course, buy a helmet so I've got the right gear and everything to take that course, complete the course, get the endorsement, and start looking into purchasing a motorcycle is basically the steps that I had there. So keep that in mind. What is that someday that is on your list that today you can move it closer to reality and not have it floating out there in this someday, which in most cases will never happen until you get started today. Thanks and have an amazing day. We'll talk soon.